Hi, everybody. Welcome. Welcome. So happy that you are here. Thank you. Thank you for joining us to learn the Sefer Devorah, which is so huge because so many people travel tremendous distances to get a bracha from a Gadol Hadar. It's not easy. Getting tickets nowadays, it costs a fortune. Getting into a Gadol Hadar, you need to pull strings. You can wait for hours and hours, and we should. Those of us that are doing it, we should continue doing it because we need every bracha that we can get. But we have something right here at our coffee table. Hashem is giving us a guarantee. If the Gadol Hadar said that I'm going to tell you something, and if you do it, I guarantee that you will get help. Wouldn't everybody do whatever the Gadol Hadar said? Hashem is saying, I am guaranteeing that this is going to help you. My attributes of mercy, they're not gifts that I'm giving out to Klal Yisrael. If you can emulate my ways, if you can do this, it is a guarantee that we will see the Yeshua that we need. So how much water would you say lies behind our sink? I think it depends who you ask. If you ask a child and they open up the sink a little bit and trickles of water come down, then they assume that's how much water is in our sink. But really, behind our sink is reservoirs of water, unlimited amounts of water. Our pipes are connected to huge flowing reservoirs. And us too. We have that pipeline. We are connected, but it's up to us how much we want to open our sinks. So a friend reached out to me and she says, Shavi, I know that you're teaching the Sefer Devorah. I don't know. I have a question. So I have a neighbor on my block who happens to be half the block, but the one thing he doesn't own is a driveway. And he was just always using my driveway, blocking my driveway. And I would go with it. I'm not saying anything. He happened to have been pretty good about it. If I called him up that I needed to leave, he would come out, he would move the car. He considered my driveway his driveway. And sometimes he didn't come out. And then I've actually had to take car services. And then it was not fun. But this was okay, I'm going to work on myself. And I told him a few times, I told him in a very nice way, okay, this year he bought another house across the street and that house has a driveway. And I'm like, oh, thank God, it's about time that he finally bought himself a house with a driveway. Guess what? He doesn't park across the street. Why should he have to cross the street if he has a driveway right next to his house? So he's still using my driveway. Now I'm angry. You have your own driveway right across the street and you're still blocking my driveway? And she's like, I'm confused. So you're telling me that I have access to reservoirs of water and that I have a direct pipeline to Hashem. Does this mean that even though he has a driveway across the street, I still have to be okay with him using my driveway? This work is hard work and it's not so clear cut. It's a good question. No, he should not be using your driveway. But here's the thing. The Ramak, which is Rabbi Devorah, who is the author of the Sefer Devorah, teaches us it's not about the behavior of the other person. It's about me. Who do I want to be? What type of person do I want to be? Are we supposed to give in until we're ready to throw up? No, that's not the work. The work is real. It's real hard work. It's real inner work. We get triggered. And the Ramak tells us, yeah, you will get triggered. We're human. And Hashem knows that. So it's okay to acknowledge our struggles. We have struggles. Let's get into it, ladies. Let's see what this work is all about and what we're going to be accomplishing. The Sefer Devorah teaches us the 13 attributes of Hashem's mercy, starting with Aleph. Mikhael Kameicha, who Hashem is like you. This attribute teaches us that Hashem bears insult and endures offense to an extent that we cannot fathom. Certainly nothing is hidden from his eyes. Furthermore, our very existence, every movement, is sustained by the supernal force that flows from above. Thus, no sin has ever been committed unless at that very instant that the person was sinning, Hashem was knowingly granting him the power to exist and move his limbs. Even though the sinner uses that force to sin, Hashem still does not withhold it all from him at all. So, Mida Aleph is telling us who Hashem is like you. When a person is on life support, every single second that they're on life support, without the life support, they cannot live. It is pumping life into the person. Hashem does not just say, born, I'm out of here, you're on your own. Every single second, every movement that we make, every breath that we take is all from him. So while we are sinning, we're using our eyes, we're using our mouth, we're using our arms, we're using our legs. While we're sinning, what Hashem could really technically say is, oh, so I gave this to you and now you're using it to sin? And he could stop. No. Hashem has endless patience and he knows that we will return. And so he allows us to continue using our limbs even while we are sinning with it. Not only allows us to use it, he gives us the ability to use these limbs. All the stories that I say, I change some of the facts. So my daughter really wanted to get into the seminary that all her friends were going to. And I did not think it would be a problem until it was a problem and she wasn't accepted. And I was like, what? So I happen to know somebody that's very close to the principal. And I said, you need to find out why they did not allow my daughter to come to the seminary. She calls me up and she says, look, I did some digging around. I actually spoke to the principal. And she said that she had reached out to a couple of women. And she said, I know she gives classes. And I'm just curious, like, what's the home like? Is her home filled with books from non-Jewish sources? Like, would you say she's learning information from people that are not Torah sources? And the person that she asked was like, yeah, I could see that. I know that JV pulls sources from many different angles. It's very possible. And so I'm sorry, but that's why she didn't take your daughter. She doesn't want a girl coming from a home where there's like so much outside influence reading material in the house. So that was the reason. Now, I hung up the phone and I remember thinking to myself, okay, this is so clearly Bashert because it happens to be that many years ago I took upon myself, I love to read, I love to learn, and I took upon myself to read only sources, which I'm not saying this is for everybody. I'm saying this is something that I took upon myself. And it was very hard for me. And I got rid of the books that were, and this is, many years ago. You won't even find actually a Curious George book in my house because I feel like if I'm reading stories to my children, it might as well be stories about tzaddikim and like not even a Berenstein Beer's book. And this was the reason that my daughter wasn't accepted. Hashem showing me so clearly that my daughter did not belong in that seminary. She ended up going to a different seminary, had a great year, Baruch Hashem. Years later, I got a phone call. And it's the principal of this seminary. I recognized her name immediately. So she says, hi, Shavy, I'm reaching out to you. I don't know if you know me. I said, oh, yes, I know you. So she says, actually, I'm in the process of writing a book. And I would love your input. I know that you're involved in the community. And I'm just curious, like, how you think the women in your community would take to the book. Would you be open to me sending you the manuscript and you going through the book and giving me your feedback? And I'm like, okay, like if God does not have a sense of humor, the reason that my daughter had not been accepted into the seminary is the very reason that she's reaching out to me for me to help her. It was hard. It was hard. I knew it would take a lot of hours. I still had this, even though my daughter did great, but it was a hard beginning. She was in a new place with new friends. There was like no basis for her not accepting me. It was hard.
You didn't say anything. Can you say anything? How did you not say anything? Should you say anything? Can you say anything? Could you say that you were hurt?
Yeah, I think you could. I mentioned it to this person who was close to the principal. I said, you know that's actually not the right information that you heard. She's like, Shavy, it's like, it's done. Like the girls that are coming. There's no room. The information that she heard is not changing. Whatever. You could defend yourself from today till tomorrow. Who's she listening to? The person that she trusts or there's no name that she never heard of? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, it's okay to say. I don't think there's anything wrong with saying. What the Ramak teaches us over and over is when you're saying something, where is it coming from? Is it coming from a place of dysregulation and anger and frustration? Or can we come to a place of, I need to chew this over. I need to get myself to a place where when I call, I'm not screaming and yelling and spitting into the phone, right?
Or you're forgiving them.
Well, that's ideal to be able to forgive them, but that's much harder work. I ended up doing it. It was a great journey. It took me time to get to a place of being able to do it with my whole heart, but I was determined. To get there. But it took time because we're human. And that's why the reward is so great because the work is so hard.
That's real, Devorah.
it didn't start off easy, but I wanted to get there. And eventually I got there. I think that a very big part of this avodah is recognizing that, do we expect Hashem to come down in a burning bush and tell us where our daughter needs to be for seminary? No. So he sends a shliach. And we get fixated on the shliach. And we forget that wherever we're supposed to be. Shliach, no shliach, right? And that was what just kept on going over and over in my mind. That's what I just kept on repeating to myself. My daughter was where she was supposed to be. Unfortunately, she was the shliach. So can I now be there for her? And that's what this first midah is all about. Hashem continues to sustain our limbs, even while we're sinning. She wanted my help, even when she had wronged me so much. And it wasn't easy, but I'm glad I was able to do that. I have a friend who, she'd been looking to buy a house for like years and years. And it had to be the perfect house. And whenever she found the perfect house in the neighborhood that she wanted and the price range that she wanted, with the driveway, her in-laws, who were contributing greatly to this house, would come and they would like say, we don't like this and we don't like that. Like, is there such a thing as a perfect house? There's no such thing as perfection. So it was very hard to find. And she called me and she says, Shavy, I think you're going to appreciate this. I didn't share this with anyone, but I think you're going to appreciate this. The apartment that she'd been living in was beautiful and it was very spacious. And her landlord was very difficult to deal with, very difficult person. But my friend Rachi, who's like this exceptional person, she knew how to speak to him, she knew how to deal with him, but everything was an issue. They needed more heat, something needed to be fixed. Like, they had to do everything on their own. And they did everything on their own. Anyway, he approached her one day and he says, by the way, I was just talking to somebody who said that I can get triple the amount for the apartment than you're paying. So option 1, you move out and I get someone else. Option 2, you pay triple the amount. Oh, and you have 6 weeks for this. And she's like, what? Like, where am I with my large family? Like, where am I going? And she says, Shavy, did we have a right to take him to Din Torah? Yeah, we did. But I knew what would happen because I knew him. My in-laws would get involved. It would get very ugly. He was one of these people that don't just let things slide. This is something that like would get the whole block involved. And it would cause like a lot of machlekes. And so my husband and I decided, for the sake of shalom, we were not going to tell anyone. And we were going to dip into our savings account. And for sure, in the merit and the schos that we're dipping into our savings account, Hashem would make a miracle and like something would happen real soon. It didn't. We dipped into our savings account, and month after month, we were paying this astronomical amount of rent until we actually emptied our savings account. And then we're like, now what? Like, we're being mavater. We're doing this for the sake of shalom. We're not telling anyone. Like, now what? And she said, it took a little more time, but right after that, we ended up getting a phone call. Hi, I hear you're on the market for a house. We just recently renovated. We decided we're making aliyah with a driveway. She says, literally, we did not have to do a thing. We moved into this big, beautiful house that was prepared just for us.
Always so clear.
It's never clear cut.
In this case, it was. But what about this husband and relationship? Like, you'll do what you think is the right thing, and
you don't see that magic ending. Yeah, that happens many times. But we're so not privy to the before, the after. We have such limited vision.
see like one little slice.
We see one little slice. Like, do we really know? We don't really know.
We cut off our pipeline. We don't believe in it.
Yeah, many times.
Place is the whole story. You don't realize that it's just.
It could always die.
Right.
And you ask Hashem to use it as it's supposed. Even if we can't see it now, then maybe in 20 years from now, just keep davening. I don't know.
There's this interesting medrash about Lot. So he gets saved from Sodom, and we would assume that the reason why he got saved is because of his daughter. The story of his daughter was that she brought guests in to her home, which was not allowed. They covered her with honey, and they released bees, and the bees ate her alive. We would assume that that's the reason why he gets saved. But we learned that that's not the reason why he gets saved. The reason why he gets saved is because when Sarah was taken by Paro from Avram, because she didn't say that Avram is her husband, Lot was quiet and didn't reveal who his brother-in-law really was. And we're like, really? That's the reason? Not the reason that his daughter got eaten by bees? And the answer is because he went against his nature. He loved money. That's why he lived in Sodom to begin with. He was greedy. He just wanted more and more. And really, he could have gotten so much money had he told as a reward. And yet he went against his nature and he was quiet. And what I'm getting at is that when we hear the story and we hear about Sarah Imenu was taken by Parai, and she was put together with all these other women that Parai wanted to be with in this low place, our Sarah Imenu, we look at it and we're like, how could Hashem let something like this happen? How is that possible? And it's years later when Yosef HaTzadik is pulled out of jail and they invite him to be Mishnah, and Paro wants to make him Mishnah Lamelech. And the advisors come and say, oh no, he can't be Mishnah Lamelech because he has to be of royal lineage. He has to have royal blood in order to become Mishnah Lamelech. And we learn that Paro gets very upset. And so he gets up and he starts walking through the corridors of the palace. And in one of the corridors of the palace, he discovers a painting of Sarah Imenu that was taken all those years ago. And we know that Yosef HaTzadik looked exactly like his grandmother, Sarah Imenu. And Paro is able to come back and say, he is of royal lineage. And I have her photo hanging in my corridor. We see our little slices of what we're going through. And it was so limited. We have no idea about the past and the future. So your question is a great one. Like, we don't always get to see that magic ending. No, we don't. But we have to believe that it's there. Parak Beis, Noisei Avon, he bears sin. This attribute is greater than the previous one. With every sin that a person commits, a destructive angel is created. As our sages say, a person who commits one Avera acquires one prosecutor, and that prosecutor stands before HaKadosh Baruch Hu and says, this person created me. Nothing can exist in the world unless it is sustained by the life force that Hashem provides. The destructive angel now stands before Hashem. How shall it be sustained? It would be fear for Hashem to say, I don't support destructive angels. Go to the person who created you. Let him support you. And the destructive angel will then immediately descend, claim the person's life, cut off her soul, or give him whatever punishment is appropriate until the destructive angel is annulled. However, Hashem does not do so. He bears and endures the sin. When we sin, we create a destructive angel. And that malach needs to be sustained. Everything that is created needs to be sustained. And Hashem could easily say, I'm not feeding you. Go to the person who created you. Let him feed you. And how is a malach fed? By harming the person. He has these forces and this destructive energy. He wants to get to the person, get to his home, get to his children, create destruction. And Hashem says, I will feed you and I will bear your sin so that you have the opportunity to do tshuva. I will take care of this angel, of this malach, until you are ready to do tshuva. So my friend Shani tells me that she had somebody come to her house and with a bunch of little kids, and they were adorable and they're playing with the toys until they got bored. So they went outside and they found a ball, and then they came inside with the ball. And she's like, oh, no ball playing in our house. But they don't listen. So, she says it a little bit louder this time so her friend can hear. And she's like, no ball playing in the house. Kids, right? You can play outside, but there's no ball playing in our house. She says, and her friend completely ignores it as if nothing was said, and she's not, and they're playing ball in her house. I can't even concentrate on what my friend is saying because I'm watching that ball go back and forth. And in my head, I know that something is going to break. I know of course something breaks. What breaks? My baccarat butterflies break. And I'm like, I said no ball playing in the house because I knew that this was... She says, I didn't ask for anything crazy or who knows what. No ball playing in the house is a very normal request. So she's really upset about it. Okay. And her friend's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Don't worry about it. We'll take care of it. Okay. So she's talking to her friend later on that week. And her friend is like, oh, do you want to do lunch? She's like, yeah, I think we should. Why don't we go next door to... Because they sell the butterflies. And like this, we can just, pop in and pick up some of the butterflies. But her friend does not mention anything about the butterflies after they do lunch, and instead runs home to get to the bus. So they're talking later on that night, and Shani again brings it up, and she's like, oh, about the butterflies, I don't know if you remember, but it was the blue one, and then there was the maroon one, and then the other one was clear. So her friend just, again, continues the conversation as if nothing was said. The third time that Shani brings it up, her friend says, oh yeah, by the way, I just want you to know that my husband called the Rav to ask a Shaila, and it turns out that being that children were the one that destroyed the butterflies, we're not required to pay for it. So sorry. And Shani's like, you're sorry? You're sorry. Really, you're sorry. I told you kids not to play with the ball. Yeah, maybe they're not required to, but hello, that...
Could be a mensch.
You could be a mensch, exactly, be a mensch. So Shani says, it was eating me up. Every time I looked at that buffet and those butterflies were missing, it was eating me up. And you know what? I was getting more and more upset at my friend. Like, I don't think it's something so abnormal to ask not to play ball in the house. She says, Shavy, I went to the store and I rebought those butterflies myself. Because I didn't want that every time I look at the buffet, I'm so annoyed at my friend. And I'm like, Shani, that is huge. That is so huge. That is what it means to open channels and access the channels of Shefa and Bracha.
It's literally embedding everything that the world is teaching us, which is boundaries, stick up for yourself, all these terminologies that sound so empowering. We need something to counter it, and this is the antithesis.
I agree with that. But we also have to have boundaries.
Absolutely.
Yeah. The Western culture doesn't talk about going above and beyond.
The boundary is something that you use to wall yourself off. Then you're actually protected, but you're walled off. Versus, I think, what Torah is saying is you're rising above, you're creating, and that's a big difference.
Yeah.
You're elevating yourself.
Right.
Going above and beyond.
Right.
Yeah.
It sounds so simple, like just put up a boundary, put up a wall, and this is so much more nuanced and multi-level, and it's real work to do.
Yeah.
Like everything that you're saying sounds beautiful, but getting there, it's like,
Yeah.
It's a lot of work.
Yeah. Because you need to really be there.
even if I buy butterflies, every time I saw them, I'd be like, and you know why I need to buy them?
Right. Right. So the Avodah would be, okay, first step, she bought the butterflies. That was first step, and that was huge. And then it's working on not being angry every time she looks at those butterflies. Yeah, it is work. So here's what I like to think about so that I can gauge properly where I'm at. Okay, tell me if this resonates with you. There is a woman who is rushing to the airport. And of course, they're a little late because they're going with the entire family and until everybody gets all their stuff into the car. And they had called ahead and they ordered a pie of pizza and fries and drinks and whatever because the kids were starving. So they pull up to the front of the pizza store. All the kids are in the car. Her husband is waiting outside. She runs inside and she goes to the front of the line. She's like, excuse me, I'm just here to pick up my order. And he's like, get in the back of the line, lady. Everybody's here to pick up their order. She's like, no, I'm on my way to the airport. I don't care where you're up to. Get to the back of the line. She's like, oh my gosh. So she stands in the back of the line and she's like waiting because it's like a long line and they keep on calling her and where are you? I'm waiting online. He won't let me get the pizza. I'm just waiting for my turn. Okay. So the line is slowly inching its way. Finally it's almost her turn. And all of a sudden this guy zooms in right in front of her and says, hi, can I get a pie to go? And she says, excuse me, sir. So he turns around, and that's when she notices that he's wearing sunglasses and he's holding a cane because he's blind. And she's like, oh, okay. Probably didn't see me. He didn't notice. Oh my gosh. And she feels like this compassion take over. So she lets him get his pizza, even though her phone doesn't stop ringing. And by now there's already honking outside. It's finally her turn. She grabs her stuff. She runs out. And as soon as she runs out, there's this guy casually smoking, leaning against the front of the pizza store. And he's like, oh, I see he got you too. So she's like, you talking to me? And he's like, yeah. She's like, excuse me? He's like, oh yeah, this guy, totally not blind. Whenever he doesn't want to wait online, he borrows his mother's cane and her glasses and pretends he's blind. She's like, the nerve. So the next time she saw him doing that, would she allow that to happen? No. I think that sometimes things happen and we don't recognize it, the signs, we weren't aware of it, right? But then when we do know the signs and we do recognize it, it's no longer okay. It's not okay. We are validating that whatever's going on in our life and whatever the other person did to us is not okay. We're not taking that away. But what we're saying is, can I be regulated instead of emotionally acting out? Can I be in a place where I'm making a conscious decision of how I want to move forward? Because people will be people. But who do we want to be?